Good evening, everybody. Hello, hello. Welcome to the first ever WalkAway Town Hall. Literally is the first, the very first of any kind. It's our intention with this campaign to do a whole different kind of series of town halls. Tomorrow we're having our first ever LGBT town hall downtown. Some of you may be aware there was a little controversy surrounding the LGBT town hall, but the show does go on. It does continue. We found a new venue, and it will be happening. So, first and foremost, I really want to thank everybody for coming, but really, honestly, most especially those of you who maybe don't exactly know what it is that we're doing, or perhaps you do know what we're doing and you don't agree. Actually, those are to those for whom that applies. I'm most grateful that you've come here tonight and that you're willing to be open and have this experience and to have this conversation, because that's all it is. It's a conversation at the end of the day. Nobody has to leave here tonight believing anything they don't want to believe or doing anything that they don't want to do. It's just an open conversation. It's a dialogue, and it's one that I think is sorely lacking in this country right now. For anybody who doesn't know, the WalkAway campaign, let me just tell you a little bit about it. I myself am a former liberal. I was a liberal my entire life. I was a Democrat my entire adult life. I always voted Democrat until after 2016. I voted for Hillary Clinton. And the reason why I voted for Hillary Clinton is because as a gay man, I always believed the messages that I got from the liberal media. And the liberal media loves to target minority groups in America. It doesn't matter if you're black, it doesn't matter if you're brown, it doesn't matter if you're LGBT. See, it's not even easy to say, even with just 4 letters, let alone the QIAA plus 2, but yeah. Anyway, they target us, and what they do is they tell us time and time again that we are in danger, that we are hated by people on the right, that we cannot succeed in this country. They tell us that the odds in the system is stacked against us in such a way that we are victims, and that no amount of hard work or motivational action will ever allow us to overcome that victimhood. Well, that's a lie. That is a lie. All of us in this country, all of us in this world, start off in a different place. None of us start on the same page exactly, and it's really up to every one of us as individuals to decide what our life turns into or where we go and what we do. Why is this event important to me? I'm not black. I'm not Hispanic. I could have certainly just put my focus on the LGBT community, which we will do tomorrow. I'm not Jewish, but we will at some point do a Jewish town hall. We'll do all types of different town halls because there's all different types of minorities in this country that the Democrat Party and the liberal media target in different ways. And so we need to have these conversations. And so why is this conversation important to me? Well, it's important to me for a number of reasons. First of all, I love all people in this country as my fellow human beings, regardless of the color of their skin, their gender, or sexual orientation. Number one. Number two, I could go on and on and on, but I will not, because we have a panel after the movie tonight that's going to do a much better job, I think, than I could. But I could go on and on, all the reasons and ways in which the Democratic Party has decimated and destroyed the black community and treated them so unfairly. And I think, again, I could go on and on, but I will not. The reason why this is so important to me, this particular town hall, is because I, as a white man, am so tired of the division between us. I'm sick of it. I hate it. I'm so proud of the panel that we put together tonight, and I'm going to introduce you to each and every one of them. But one of them, Angela King. Angela, can you give us a wave? Angela King is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s godniece. And As we all know, that very famous quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that we should be judging each other not by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. And my God, don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? The division that has existed between us for so long is largely perpetrated by the liberal media and by the Democratic Party that wants us to keep believing that the color of our skin defines us, and it defines our outcome, it defines our existence, and it will keep us separated until the end of time if we, the people of the United States of America, don't come together and say, stop, enough, enough. We've had enough of this. So listen, I'm not going to take up any more time because I really want you all to see the movie. So let me just quickly explain what you're about to see. I started something called the WalkAway campaign after I walked away from the Democratic Party. And when I started this campaign, I made a 6-minute video of what I feel like is everything that's wrong with liberalism and the Democratic Party. And I encouraged other people to make their videos and their testimonials as well. Other people who were feeling the same way I was feeling. And at this point, on all social media platforms, we have more than 400,000 people who have joined the WalkAway campaign and tens of thousands of written and video testimonials. So somebody in our campaign, a Hollywood film producer named Mike Boss, did something brilliant. He took 20 of the WalkAway video testimonials of Black Americans and made a 35-minute documentary film out of them, which we call The Great Awakening, Breaking the Chains of the Democratic Party. So what you're about to see tonight are just the true stories and the true words of Black Americans who used to vote Democrat and telling you why they used to vote Democrat and why they have now walked away. It tells the true history of the Democratic Party, and it's what I call the story of Black America by Black America. So what you're about to see now is the first 6 minutes are my original WalkAway video, the video that I created when I started the campaign. And immediately after that 6-minute video, it goes right into the movie, The Great Awakening, Breaking the Chains of the Democratic Party, our 35-minute documentary-style film of Black Americans telling their stories of why they are walking away. Before we start the movie, let me make one disclaimer. We are aware that there has been talk online of some people who wanted to come tonight and try to disrupt this experience, who don't think that Black Americans should be allowed to hear a different point of view. They don't think that this discussion should be allowed to take place. They think that the color of your skin defines the fact that you should have to vote Democrat. So let me just say, for those people, I'm glad you're here. If you're here, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're going to be in this room and part of this discussion. If your intention is to disrupt the film or disrupt any part of this evening, you're going to be removed. It's not happening. We have security in place. You will be swiftly removed. It's not going to hurt any of our fun. You're just going to make a fool out of yourself. And the show will go on. So with that in mind, everybody have a wonderful time. Stick around after the movie. We'll have our Q&A. And with that, I give you The Great Awakening, Breaking the Chains of the Democratic Party by the WalkAway campaign. What I'd like to do is just sort of pass the mic, and I'm going to let everybody on the panel introduce themselves and also tell you just a few words, anything that they'd like to say. And when we're finished with the introductions, I would be happy to open this up and we'll take questions. I mean, we're going to do a true town hall style Q&A with you all to either discuss the film or ask any questions you have. And this is truly an open forum. So if you disagree with anything that you saw in the movie or everything you saw in the movie, please speak up. Let's talk about it. The first person, who are we missing? Anyone? No. Oh. Okay, sorry, perfect. I'm going to start here with my friend David Harris Jr. David.
Thank you, Brandon. First, I just want to say thank you, Brandon, for your heart and your passion to see America wake up, and for your commitment and your courage to take this on. I shared with Brandon earlier that I think it's amazing that it takes a gay white guy from New York to go after the topics and the discussions, like he said, not just for the Black community, but he's doing that, but for the LGBT, for the Jewish community, for the Latino community, and obviously the WalkAway campaign has impacted hundreds of thousands, I think millions of lives. I just don't think every single person has been maybe willing to share their story, but it's been an impact that I think will shape America, and your mark in history is being made, brother.
Thank you, David. Thank
So when I saw Brandon's video last summer and immediately said, I need to talk to this man, and then had him on my show pretty soon after that. So I've been fortunate to see this movement grow and get to know him and his heart, and he's genuine, and he loves his country, he loves all people. So thank you.
Thank you.
So for myself, David J. Harris Jr., if you're not following me and you want to, on Instagram or Twitter, YouTube or Facebook, I had a video go crazy viral. I just had a couple thousand friends. It was after the third debate. I was watching the debate between Trump and Hillary really close, like I'd never watched a debate before in a presidential race before. And after the third debate, it was so clear to me that the direction that these two individuals wanted to take our country was so starkly different that I just couldn't contain myself. I had to speak up and speak out. And the majority of the video, I talked about a lot of the stuff that I felt was negative, the biased and the slants towards Donald Trump. But the biggest thing, and the thing that I felt in here tonight as well, I felt a lot of parts in here tonight watching this movie. But something spiritually really just resonated with me, and that's when they all were talking about their faith. How many folks in here have faith in God? If you have faith in God, now if I can be get you to be just as courageous, out of the people that have voted that just raised their hand, how many of you have voted Democrat in the past?
Wow.
So for me, my mother, I was raised in a very faith-filled household. My grandfather was a Kojic, a Church of God in Christ pastor for 53 years. I was raised in an Assembly of God church. Grew up preaching the Bible and had a scripture verse for every letter of the alphabet by the time I was 7, they tell me. I don't remember that, but. So for me, abortion has always been the main issue. I could never support or vote for a candidate whose party was for killing babies. Abortion is just an alternative word instead of calling it what it is. It's killing babies. And every single person that has an opinion that's for abortion, they've already been born. They're speaking now for those that can't speak for themselves. So I've been a conservative. I haven't always been as active in politics and social issues as I have over the last couple of years. But I've been fortunate that I had parents that impressed upon me the importance of looking at how a person votes, not listening to their rhetoric. And my faith has always been a driving factor for me, and that's why I could never vote Democrat. So to then get into this spectrum, in this sphere, and realize from research how 90% of my black community has been voting for a party that supports abortion was heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. And then to see the race baiting and to see what takes place when, Democrats are continually, and the mainstream media continually, trying to pit races against each other. When 90% of the black community, of the murders that take place in the black community are committed at the hands of other black people. And yet they don't want to talk about that. So I'm excited for where I see this country going. I know we have a struggle and we have a fight, but we need to be all in. This man right here is all in. I'm all in. Every person on this panel is all in on trying to help wake up America and wake up whatever community will talk to us and hear us, but especially our own community. Obviously, we want America to wake up. So that's what I got.
Thank you, David.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Angela Stanton King. I'm a national best-selling author. I've had my share of reality television. I've been on BET, From the Bottom Up, produced by Queen Latifah and Nikki Gilbert. And I think my final walk-away moment came when I saw basically the entire world fighting to reunite immigrants at the border. Let me tell you why. I fight very hard and I worked hard along with my sister Topeka, who's in the audience. Topeka, raise your hand. We fought together to get the First Step Act passed. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the First Step Act, but the First Step Act was signed by Donald Trump back in December of last year. And it's all about reuniting the families that have been separated because of mass incarceration. And the majority of those families are Black and brown. So when I saw everybody coming together, I saw Oprah do a big campaign to raise money for illegal immigrants at the border. It made me really sad because I said to myself, wait a minute, somehow we have forgotten our own. Because I remember in 2004 when I was chained to a bed in a Georgia prison giving birth, and my child was snatched right out of my arm, not even 24 hours later, and Trump was not the president. So I knew then, hey, wait a minute, something's not right. It's not Trump separating children at the border, it's American law, and we need to change American laws for Americans. We don't need to reform the laws at the border, we need to reform the laws within the border. And that was part of my walk-away moment because I wanted to reunite families within the border. And I started believing, hey, wait a minute, I need to open up and I need to speak out about this because our people need to wake up. Why are you fighting so hard for people at the border and you're not fighting at all for American citizens within the border? And here's the thing. It was a big argument. Everybody's like, well, hey, you committed a crime, you deserve to do the time. Listen, crossing the border illegally is a crime. We have American citizens that commit crimes of survival every day. Whether it's the mother stealing to feed her children, whether or not it's the man that's sleeping in an abandoned building because he's homeless. And here's the thing. Across America right now, there are thousands of women in jails that are currently pregnant. Haven't even been convicted, right? Just charged and can't afford bond. If they go into labor, they're going to have those babies, and guess what? They are going to be separated as well. So when we say that their children are separated, are traumatized from being separated, what about all the American children that have been traumatized from being separated from their parents? What about all of the American children that we have in cages called juvenile detention centers? Hello, America. Why have you forgotten your own? The issue about abortion, my godmother, Elvita King, she is the director of Civil Rights for the Unborn. She has been fighting for many, many years. She is someone who rescued me when I was released from prison back in 2005 with a $25 check and a bus ticket and told, here, go start your life over. Well, when I came home from prison, I came home to 2 tombstones. My mother had passed away when I was in prison. My grandmother had passed away. So when we're talking about reuniting the families, I'll never have a chance to be reunited with mine. And here's the thing. Nobody put a gun in my head and made me commit a crime. It was not the white man's fault. It was something that I decided I wanted to do, and I did the crime and I had to do my time. So here's the thing. I'm reformed now, but when I got released from prison, I couldn't get government assistance, right? I couldn't get Section 8. So I couldn't become dependent on the government system. And because I could not become dependent on the government system, guess what happened? I woke up and realized my potential. Not only did I realize I could write, I realized, guess what? I could start a publishing company and have one of the most successful companies in the United States. Hello, a little poor Black girl that was sexually abused, that grew up in poverty, that's been to prison, that's been on the welfare system. Today is someone sitting before you and is a success. Why? Because I was forced to realize my greatness. As long as we're dependent on a system, I'll be honest, I have a dad who spoiled me to death. If he was paying my rent every month, why would I pay it? Why would I pay it if I know he was going to pay it? So I think because of my circumstances that I was pushed over into greatness. I think the biggest walk-away moment, how many of you in here have someone or know someone that's currently serving time in prison? That's enough. That's over half of the room. So that lets you know that there's a reason for us to be fighting. And we're not talking about people that have committed violent crimes. And I'll just give you an example of one person that I'm fighting for, Michael Peltier. Well, Michael Peltier, he's paralyzed. He's been in prison now for 12 years. He's serving a life sentence, life without parole, for marijuana. He was convicted in Maine. Guess what? Marijuana is now legal in Maine, and this man is paralyzed in prison and still serving a life sentence. What about reuniting some of our families, some of these people that have served time and have been reformed? It's time for us all to wake up and walk away. America, please do not forget your own.
Amen. 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 Good evening, everybody. My name is YG Nyghtstorm, and first of all, I want to say, Brandon, thank you, sir. I think we need to give Brandon one more round of applause, please. And also I want to say it's my pride, privilege, and pleasure to be here representing Atlanta. This is my sister. We represent the but one thing I want to talk about here, folks, this is reality. And I walked away for 3 reasons. Number 1, abortion. In 1999, before I got married, because I am the proud father of 9 children, 9. But in 1999, before I got married, I was dating a young lady, and she was pregnant with my twins, Howard and Hank. And we wanted to start a life together, but we got into an argument, and her friends told her, since YG pissed you off, the best thing you can do to hurt him is to kill his kids. And let's just say Howard and Hank were never born. So when I travel around the country and I'm preaching about children and family and fatherhood and how important it is, I talk about Howard and Hank, but I was a Democrat at the time. And the Democrats told me, YG, you need to stop preaching about abortion because a large constituency of our party is against that. And I said, well, Howard and Hank are dead. Those were my babies. And I'm against anyone that wants to kill children. So if you don't want me to speak on your platform, not a problem. Number 2, the reason why I left the Democrat Party is because of my faith, my love for God. Because God has given me everything, and I'm gonna get into why I love God so much. But they started saying, YG, you talk too much about God. A large constituency in our party does not like God, that he offends them. The very name of Jesus Christ offends them and hurts them to their heart. Then I said, well, you know, not a problem. I don't have to speak on your platform because I will continue to stand for God. And number 3, the third reason why I walked away from the Democrat Party is because 27 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, I was actually homeless and sleeping on the streets. Before I had any of my children, I was sleeping out there, beat up, robbed, kicked, literally urinated on, hiding from the gangs who were having initiations by killing homeless people because nobody cared about homeless people. And I was out there. But by the grace of God, ladies and gentlemen, I started working, and I started getting 1 job, then I got 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, 5 jobs, and I was able to work myself off of being on the streets into living in a crack house because it was dry when it was raining. And then once the dope boy got arrested and I was kicked out, then I worked some more, and I moved up to a house that had rats and roaches. And then guess what? I worked a little bit more, and then I moved into a house that just had roaches. And then I worked a little more to a house that just had mold. But the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, I was on food stamps at the time while I was working, and I was sitting in front of my caseworker, and she said, YG, You're making so much money now. You got how many jobs? 1, 2, 3. It's like you were Jamaican. You're making all these jobs. We got to kick you off of food stamps. And I started crying. And she said, YG, don't cry. Because if you quit 4 of your jobs, you can keep your benefits. And I said, ma'am, you're mistaken. These are not tears of sadness. These are tears of joy because I no longer need you to feed me. So like I said, now the third reason why I left the Democrat Party is because of the love I have for this country. It was black people, white people, Jew, Gentile, everything in between, gay, straight, and 90% of them was conservatives who said we saw a little 18-year-old young man who smelled like urine because I peed on myself, because I was sleeping on the streets, but they gave me an opportunity. And they say, we love this young man regardless of the melanin in his skin. He is a child of God, and we are going to help him. And I appreciated that help, and I promised every person who helped me that one day I will reach back when I become a success and help other people. And by the grace of God, ladies and gentlemen, I have reached that point. I have raised all 7 of my children who are adults. Me and my 2 ex-wives, we're still best friends. We co-parent. There is no baby mama drama. We raise our children, and I've also hired well over 200 people in the Atlanta area, getting them off the streets and giving them jobs where they can respect themselves and take care of their families. So that's why I travel around the country. And when Brandon tells me about opportunities like this and what he's doing, because this is historic, and you all are here, I want to say thank you, because it was people just like you who did not step over me when I was sleeping on those streets. It was people just like you who said, YG, come on. Come on, brother. Let's pray and let's get to work. And let's change your life. And in changing your life, we can change this country. So God bless you guys. That's why we're walking away. The very soul of our nation is dependent on it. And we are representing right here in Harlem, baby.
Wow, how do you follow that? Well, my name is Christoper Wright. First and foremost, yeah, thank you. Hello. How's everybody out there? I also know everybody's very conservative in New York, by the way, for those of you out there. But first and foremost, I want to thank Brandon Straka for just everything he's done. I appreciate him. I told it to Brandon a couple times. I'm going to tell him again. I'm going to tell him too. I probably can't tell him no more. But I just wanted to thank him for giving me a voice, because for a long time, I was a person who liked to debate. I was into politics. A lot of arguments, a lot of fights, a lot of lost friendships, lost family members. I'm from Maryland, so very blue state, just as blue as New York. And when I saw Brandon's WalkAway video, I was on the bus ride on the way home from work, and I was just watching it and literally watched it. And when I was done watching it, I walked off the bus and said, what better way to do a WalkAway video when you're walking away? So, so that was the beginning. That was my first video. And from that first video, I now have a YouTube channel with over 11,000 subscribers and growing. And it's just really just opened up a whole new world for me, and I appreciate you. Thank you for that, Brandon. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, no problem, brother. And so with that said, thank you. It's my beginning, I guess I can start off with, I come from a military background. My dad's a retired Army major in the infantry. When I was younger, we moved to Germany. I was born in Georgia, Hinesville, Georgia, but I lived in Georgia, Mississippi, Kentucky. Don't remember none of that, of course, too young. Moved to Germany. We lived there for 5 years. I saw so much history there, saw a beautiful country. I got to see the Berlin Wall fall down when it did, and my dad still has pieces from the wall in his house. So yeah, definitely experience that changed my life. And you know, when I saw that and I came to the United States, I always had love for the country. I always thought America was a beautiful, amazing country. I didn't have to wake up every day, had to fight for it, you know, for no reason. I just, you know, back in like the 90s, things were just cool. Everybody was kind of relaxed back then. So what happened as time went by, 9/11, things happened where my patriotism started to show. And when I got older, I started to look at the 2008 election when Obama was running. And I was like, one of the people caught up in the Obama spiel and his, the speeches, everything. And when I would watch him, I'd just be like, this guy's going to change the world. This guy's like the next Martin Luther King, yada, yada, yada. So I was living in Georgia at the time, and I went literally door to door for Obama, got him over 500 votes, was knocking on doors, grinding for him, because I just felt in my heart like this is going to be a new beginning. 4 years later, things changed. I saw a lot of things Obama said were lies. I saw he didn't keep to a lot of his promises. I saw he did a lot of talking out the side of his mouth. Just a lot of things where just opened my eyes to who he truly was. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to look for the first time in my life, because I voted, that was my third time voting at that time, my fourth time in 2012. I said, I'm going to look and see people on the right. So I saw Ron Paul, who caught my interest. I saw Herman Cain, who caught my interest, 99.99, So I was really interested, but what I saw they did with Ron Paul was they just stopped. When he won, I think it was Iowa he won, and he started to get ahead of the primaries, they stopped televising. They stopped putting, media just stopped covering him, totally stopped covering him. They would, when they would go to the top 5 people that won the primary, they'll go to his name and just skip it like he didn't exist. So after doing that a few times, Ron Paul fell off, and then Herman Cain took the lead. When Herman Cain took the lead, he was doing his thing, picking up number 1 in the primaries. What did they do with him? The Me Too stuff. All these supposed, he did this, he raped me, da-da-da. And I honestly feel he didn't do any of it. He just had his business, and he said, I'm not going to take the risk of perhaps losing his presidency, even if I get through this, and my business being affected. So he just stepped away, kept his business the way it was. So I saw how the media had a way of portraying to the American public and just how it manipulated the public at that point. So in 2016, I was still, 8 years of Obama. Oh man, guy was doing stuff. Oh my gosh, transgenders in the bathrooms and all kinds. I don't know, man. I can't even. I don't even go. Don't get me started, please. And nothing wrong with the LGBT community. Don't get me wrong, but he was just doing things he never said in any of his speeches, And I was like, this guy's just all the way left field now. So I really started looking at other candidates. So the candidate that caught my attention first and foremost immediately was Dr. Ben Carson. I grew up. Yeah. Give that man a round of applause right there. Dr. Ben Carson caught my attention because, I grew up in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. My dad's a pastor to this day in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. So he met Dr. Ben Carson 3 times, gave me his book, Gifted Hands, when I was 7, 8 years old. Read the book from front to back, first biography in my life I read, first big book I read, period. In fact, before there was his comics, So it was just that interesting. I was really intrigued by the man's life. I thought he was an amazing man, how he came from the bottom to the top, become the first neurosurgeon in American history to separate Siamese twins from the brain. The man was brilliant, a genius. And so when he ran, he could have ran for Libertarian, Independent, Democrat, Republican, up, down, left, right. He would have got my vote, period, no questions. So when he ran, he was Republican. I said, I don't care, I'm voting Dr. Ben Carson. So, he was running. He does what Dr. Ben Carson does, telling the truth, bringing his policy, his message out there to the public, protecting Christianity. I was like, this man is, still the man I remember growing up, So what they did with Dr. Ben Carson, as you guys remember, was he said he spoke with administration during a lunchtime or something like that about going to West Point. Very good school, by the way. And when he said that, he said he turned down the opportunity because he'd rather go to medical school because when he graduated, he wanted to go straight to his field. He didn't want to serve in the military like you do if you go to military college. So what the media did was they took that statement and said, they looked in his past and said, look, there's no paperwork of him getting signed up for West Point, and he's lying to the public. And Dr. Ben Carson didn't say that. He just said he spoke with somebody from the administration, and that's it. But the media tried to portray it like he said he got offered a chance to go to West Point, and so he's a liar, trying to make him look like a liar. So for the first time I've seen ever in my life, Dr. Ben Carson got on TV, did an interview, and he was livid. I mean, he was yelling, he was screaming, still not cussing, but he was, really getting upset. I could tell him that's another level of anger. And I was like, man, so after that, I was like, man, what is going on? And then the media just kept attacking him, and to the point where he eventually fell off. So when I saw that, I thought, we got nothing left, man. The media pretty much has control of the country. There's nothing we can do. And of course, then comes Donald J. Trump. And we all know what he does to the media. Yes, you already know. He lays the smacketh downeth on the media, as we know. So when I saw him do that, I was just like, man, okay, I just knew Donald Trump from, the cool billionaire and all the rappers from New York were the Black Trump, and, he was in Home Alone 2, and, just WWE just popping up there, just Trump. Trump's cool, man. But I thought, honestly, when he was running, he was just trying to put the Trump name out there, put the Trump brand out there for his businesses, and then, hey, I ran for president, and helped to build his business kind of thing. So when I saw him just dismantle the media, I said, okay, if you're serious, Donald Trump, let me see what you're about. Let me see. So I started watching his rallies, seeing his turnout for his rallies, saw his message for the rallies, saw the excitement in his rallies. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so I was like, well, was he always on this kind of, is he just kind of making this up, just trying to just do this to get, to try to get in the presidency? So I went on YouTube and I started looking at Donald Trump interviews all the way dating back to the 80s and Oprah. And usually, I'm sure you guys might have seen one he had with Oprah, where he's just speaking to her and he's just hitting the nail on the head on every subject when it comes to trade tariffs, the economy, jobs. And Oprah just finally says to him, like, are you going to plan on running the president? And he said, Oprah, honestly, I do not want to run. The paycheck's not good enough. I'd rather do what I'm doing. But if things ever got too bad, I would consider running. And then that made me immediately think of the current time I was in at that time, 2016, and said, wow, he's running now. And look how bad the country is off now, $20 trillion in debt. So I'm like, wow, so he stuck to his word. And so when I just saw, after that point on, I took the man serious, saw his rally, saw what he said, saw his message about building the wall, job security, trade, taking care of trade tariffs, prison reform. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And I saw it and I said, okay, Trump, I'm rolling with you, man. If this is what you're about and you're telling the truth, then you got my vote. And from that point on, I was on the Trump train. And I'm not looking back, never. So, So after I came out, said I'm voting for Trump, you would have think the world exploded, family and friends. Everybody was like, what the heck, But, I got through it, and like I told you earlier, I eventually got to the point when I got in some serious debates, arguments with friends, but the night of the election, when they announced finally at 3 o'clock in the morning, when they had to do it, Trump was the president of the United States, opened up the window in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and yelled out, "Make America Great Again," as loud as I can. So, so I'm just, like I said, I'm just glad to have the opportunity to be here today with all these fellow patriots out here, and just for such a powerful thing. The WalkAway is historical. This is a historical movement that Brandon did. And like you said, who would have thought a gay guy from Manhattan would have been one who started one of the strongest conservative movements in American history. But it is what it is, and I love him and I respect the man for it. So that's my story, and I hope you guys enjoy. It's your my man Hotep.
Oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna beat y'all, but I'm gonna try my best. First of all, Brandon, thank you very much for having me. I met Brandon last year at WalkAway in DC, and I didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was, but when I met him, he treated me like a human being. He treated me, I was welcome, and I never forgot that. So we stayed in touch, and I got in contact with him this year. We've been talking, and here I am. But I'm Hotep Jesus. By a show of hands, anybody know who I am? Oh, shucks, I'm getting out here now. Yo, shout out to everybody that knows who I am. That means a lot to me. But my stories goes like this. I didn't know what a Republican was until 2016. I really didn't know. I didn't know a thing about politics for the most part until 2016. So I don't technically have a WalkAway. You can see me in Dinesh D'Souza's film, America, Imagine a World Without Her. I was in that film, I think that was 2012. I was at Zuccotti Park protesting with Occupy Wall Street, and my friend Dwight ran press down there. So I've been doing this activist thing for a while. I was doing activism for years before that as well, but I was always like an anti-media guy. That was my big thing, like, screw CNN.
Amen.
So, I guess let's fast forward, right? Black Lives Matter happens. It hit us in the face, and I think Black Lives Matter is the worst thing that ever happened to the black community since integration. There you go. When we had the death of Trayvon Martin and Tamir Rice, I believe that Black America was organizing for a real revolution, and it got co-opted by Black Lives Matter. I was one of the first people to spot the ops coming in and co-opting a movement, and I called it out very, very early, and it got me blocked by half of Black Twitter, at least 50% of them. I look at my timeline and I have a whole bunch of Black people I follow, and there's just blank links to people I can't see tweets from that have blocked me from years ago. And it's a blessing now because now they can't see what I'm saying about Trump. So they don't really care about what I got to say, which is good. But my whole thing, you know, with riding with Trump has always been just the fact that he's anti-media, right? He's just anti-media. And like I said, I think the media just lies to us. It perpetrates something that is, like for example, I was talking to some ladies outside, and you know they were talking about the MAGA hat, and he said, "Oh, it's the KKK." And I wanted to ask him, "Where'd you get that from?" And we know where they got that from. They got that from the media. Yeah, fake news, exactly.
Lamestream media.
Yeah. So you know, when I talk to Black people, I always ask them. I say, "Do you trust the media?" They say no. I said, well, who's telling you about Trump? They say the media. So I say, do you think you have an accurate view of Trump? And they just give me that stupid face. And at that point, I usually just like walk away. But I have been spending the last 2 years, 3 now, right? Trump about to go in 2020. Just educating myself on politics and understanding what it was, because I felt like my whole life they told me Republicans are racist. Like I'd ask them, hey, you know, why don't we vote for the Republicans? What they do? They're like, they're racist. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, you kind of just accept it when you're young and in high school, you know? And then I remember being in high school and there was a Black kid and I was just like, he said he was a Republican. And I was just like, oh, you're Black and you're Republican. Holy cow, what is this? You know, and I'd ask him, but he didn't know why he was a Republican. We were in high school, we didn't know why or anything, but everybody called him like that token Negro. So looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, Black Republicans are like, looked at as like the token Negro. Okay, so now I'm like putting all this stuff together. But now I realize, you know, what this thing is, you know, what the Democratic Party is, what the Republican Party is, what a liberal is, what a conservative is. And I don't go by any of those labels. Sometimes I'll consider myself a conservative, but for the most part, I just rock under the label Hotep. Hotep is a label that Black Lives Matter and feminists gave me. They call me an ashy Hotep, but the reason, and I'm about to close up soon. But the reason why they call me that is because I'm very solution-minded. You know, when they talked about you know, Trayvon Martin and all that stuff, you know, they wanted to yell at white people, they wanted to yell at cops, and I was just like, well, technically we kill ourselves more. You know, maybe we should build our own schools. Maybe we need to hire our own mayors in our own towns, and we don't have to worry about what party affiliation they are. They're our people. You know, what else? What's another? Guns. You know, like the whole big gun control thing. And it's just like, well, you claim white supremacy is so evil, but you want to make sure that the only people that have guns are white people? Like, that doesn't make any sense at all to me. We should have guns too. Black guns matter. Yeah, so, you know, with the whole Black Lives Matter and the fight with them and them calling me Hotep, we turned it into a brand. You can see that at hotepnation.com, a whole bunch of op-eds up there. But what I do professionally is I create solutions. So a bunch of people were banned from PayPal and Patreon, so I created an application called coinbitsapp.com, and you can actually go through our system and raise money, and you don't have to worry about the liberals kicking you off their platform. Thank you. So that's what I do. I design software applications to make people's lives better. Some of it is politically affiliated. Other applications are not. Other applications just help people drive a business. But you can see all my professional work under my government name or my slave name, Brian Sharp, BryanSharpe.co. and you can see all of my professional background there. But that's what I do. I have a marketing and advertising background, and I just deal in software because I believe software is the future. And if we have people like George Soros, who's co-opting movements, you know, what I want to do is I want to be a billionaire so I can do things like Brandon and just promote, you know, his business and put money in the community and things like that.
Yeah, hell yeah, bro.
But again, like I said, my name is Hotep Jesus, and again, thank you, Brandon. Good job.
So thank you all so much. I appreciate all of you being here and everybody on this panel. Angela, I think, is the person I've met the most recently, and we were texting, well, she was trying to get a hold of me for a little while, but finally we met up at CPAC a few weeks ago, and I fell in love with her instantly. But every person on this panel I have a real heartfelt love for different reasons, and I don't think I've known anyone on this panel longer than 9 months. David is the first person I met, and he really helped WalkAway get started because, like he said, I put my video out, and I was trying so hard to get, you know, some media attention around it because people were really using that hashtag, but people were like, what's WalkAway? What's WalkAway? And it's like, nobody knew who I was. And David gave me a spot on his show several times and really helped launch the movement. So thank you so much for everything you did to help that, David. With that, let's open this up because this is a town hall and we really want to hear from you. So please let us know if you have any questions or comments or any thoughts about the film, or if there's anything that you liked or didn't like or disagree with, or any questions for the panelists directly.
Hi, I'm Josie.
Hi, Josie.
Hi, it's like an AA meeting. I was born and raised in New York. I worked at the Obama campaign. I went to Puerto Rico because in Puerto Rico you can vote for the primary, but you can't vote for the general election. And my walkaway moment was when Obama had given the big banks close to $800 billion. The floor opened up for me because I know what I can do with that money. I can go for schools, infrastructure, small banks, incarceration. There's so much you can do with that. And till this day, nobody knows where that money went to. Okay? I lost all hope. I had more hope for other states than New York City. I love my city. I love New York. We are the trendsetters. We're the ones that we talked when I didn't care what you said or what you thought. We talked and we said whatever we wanted to. And now we're like silent. There are Trumpers that don't dare say anything in New York. It breaks my heart. My parents are Cuban. I'll be damned if I can't talk. They come from a socialistic. They hated Obama from the beginning. I'm like, Ma, please. The guy went to Colombia. He's a communist. I said, Ma, please. Read his books. He's a communist. I said, Ma, please. You don't know. She knew she smelled it a mile away. Okay? I had no hope. I'm going to be very honest. I lost complete hope. The light in the tunnel was Brandon. I said, this man is amazing. What cojones this guy has. On 125th Street, okay? Not one clergyman or politician dare walk through here, okay? I said, okay, with the rally on Saturday at Trump Towers and what this is historical. Okay, this is historic, and I appreciate it because I know you weren't born in New York, but you love New York just as much as I do, okay? And what's so ironic is that we're in Magic Johnson's theater. Magic Johnson tried to convince so many people to invest in 125th Street, and when they finally did, years later, people are dying because of synthetic marijuana and the bodegas. That wasn't the vision that he had for 125th Street. Dying, that you can get pot in a bodega, in a store, and die, and the ERs are filled with people overdosing and dying. They don't tell you that, okay? I know everything that goes on in this city. I've cried for those women who were pregnant and chained I know about that stories. I know those. I know the men that are guilty and not guilty in Rikers right now, and they can't. They can't be bailed out. Okay, you have Alexandra Cortez talking about the new Green Deal, and MS-13 is running rampant on Jackson Heights, which is her freaking area. It's her freaking area. She doesn't even talk about, they have taken over Huntington, Long Island. They have taken over Brentwood, dismembered people. Okay, I know about, there's nobody that can tell me, I know what goes on here. Okay, in 7 years, 47 politicians are in jail, okay? 47 Democratic in 7 years. That's like 7 politicians a year. We are the laughing stock. I have friends that have left New York. They can't take it anymore. They left. And I love it, and I'm just so grateful. I'm really grateful because at least I'm having a vision. I've cried for my people. These are my people. I was born and raised on 108th Street and 3rd Avenue. I was raised on 110th Street and 5th. That was Schaumburg, which is Heritage now, which I think Trump owns that, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? I've known Trump for 30-something. He's been in Oprah for 7, 8, 9 times. All of a sudden, he's a racist. He's helped Winnie Houston when she was on drugs. He's helped Mike Tyson. Jesse Jackson has been kissing his ring for money, and also and Al Jackson and Al Sharpton also asking for money. Now all of a sudden, you know why? Because Trump's hotels and Trump's done business with these. He knows all their dirt, and they are running rampant like roaches. Okay, so I'm really grateful. I have hope, and Brandon, once again, your family, I love your family. I love you. You're an offspring of them. I love you, and I love your family, and I'm just really grateful that I'm here. And if Brandon, I want to work with you. I'm a Latina for Trump, so I really want to. Thank you. So that's my spiel.
Let me just say really quickly, if anybody wants to help out the WalkAway campaign, email info@walkawaycampaign.com if you'd like to volunteer, if you'd like to be a part of the organization. We would love to have you. We'd love to have help from anybody. We can never have too much help. So thank you so much. There's something I just want to say really quickly about what you just said, and then I want to hear from all you guys. Because this is something that I'm trying to speak out about a lot because it concerns me very, very much. As we've said, many of us have said here tonight, and on our promotional poster for this event tonight, we say 90% of Black Americans are currently voting Democrat, or at least they did in 2018. More than 80% of LGBT people are voting Democrat. Now, people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Democratic Party is currently pushing more and more towards democratic socialism, fringe leftism, communism. These things are becoming more and more. Something that concerns me so much, they already take us for granted. By us, I mean Black people, brown people, LGBT people. They take us for granted completely. But what's starting to happen now that concerns me more than anything is that people like us who fall into those minority categories, we just sort of assume this identity, and it's not going to be long before every Black person, brown person, LGBT person automatically thinks they have to be a socialist just because of the color of their skin and just because of their sexual orientation. It's not even going to occur. And we are not even allowed, by we now I'm talking about white people, if I were to criticize Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, guess what she says in return? It's because you're a racist. So we cannot even fairly fight back against what's happening there and try to save Black people, brown people, LGBT people who are literally, in a matter of years, going to be saying anybody who doesn't believe in socialism is a racist. This is a big problem. We've got our work cut out for us, Anybody else, please?
Good evening, everyone. And Brandon, I'm so happy to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful gathering. I am Barbara from Harlem, and I love Harlem. This is my home, and I just met you recently. But what's so exciting is that when Clinton was running for president, I'm a registered Democrat, I couldn't vote for him. So my WalkAway started with President Clinton. I did not vote for him. I have a book out called Escaping the Racism of Low Expectations, which outlines how I came to my senses, even though I was a member of the Democratic Party, the Democratic clubs with Charlie Rangel and all of that. I realized they wanted me to forget about God. They wanted me to be a slave to those slave owners that were long ago dead. And God allowed slavery. And I came to the realization that if it hadn't been for slavery, where would I be? All of this is outlined in my book, and I hope you'll pick up a copy. But I'm so happy. This is a wonderful, wonderful panel. I'm so impressed. I was impressed with the movie, and I'm very impressed with each and every one of you. God help us to make a change in America. God help us to revive and save the United States from socialism, Marxism, godlessness, all of those isms that say down with God. We are one nation under God forever. Thank you.
Preach. Hey, I just want to ask, is there anybody who really wants to speak out who has a problem with anything that happened in the movie or, yeah? Or anything, yeah.
I am a Republican, so I am a Republican who also voted Obama, and I voted Obama twice. And, we can say all we want to say. The guy is charismatic, spoke well, convinced people, and this is where we are. Then Trump comes into the scene, and obviously I'm not going to say I'm the most educated woman, but I have some sort of common sense, and there are certain things that he said that didn't resonate with me, and the way he spoke and the way he conducted himself in the public eye. And as a Republican, I had a hard time understanding that. I had a hard time understanding the support that he received as well. On the other side, this is my question directly to you, is how do you reconcile as a gay man in America, which is some of the challenges that I have when being a Republican. I am pro-LGBT 100%, gay marriage 100%. I do believe in God. I do attend to Christian church, and the reality is that the majority of our Christian church, if you're openly gay man, you're not coming in. Okay. And for me, I'm completely in disagreement with that. What happens in the comfort of your house, within your respect and in your bedroom, that's your business. That's not for me to judge. That's one thing. On the other side, from a Republican and politician piece, that's my first question, is that how you reconcile that? And then the other side is, I am a Republican who also is pro-abortion. I believe that is my choice within the guidelines of what I believe. I don't think what Mayor de Blasio in New York is doing now with the 37 weeks, like now we're going all the way to the other side. But I believe that is, as a woman, that's my right, and choose what kind of life I'm going to provide for that future kid or not. So when you sit in this panel, and this is not, I'm here, my husband is totally Republican, and I'm here to try to understand the movement and really come with an open-minded and be educated in the things that I don't know. When you sit personally in a panel like this, knowing your history of gay men and the things that gay men has gone into this country, and not only from Democrats, also from Republicans, how do you reconcile in the things that you really believe, which is the hard time that I'm having myself?
Understood. Thank you for the question. So I guess just there's a couple points I want to make to come at this. The first is that even when I was a liberal, and even when I was an activist for marriage equality, which I very much was, one point of difference that I had, I think, with a lot of other gay people was, it seemed to me that a lot of gay people were trying to legislate acceptance, and you cannot do that. You can fight for equal rights, and you can fight for fairness, and you can fight for what you believe is fairness under the law, but you cannot force people to like or accept you if they don't. And that was never important to me. All I ever cared about was that I had the right to go to City Hall and sign a civil marriage contract the same as any other two opposite sex adults could. And once marriage equality was enacted by the Supreme Court, it was never important to me whether anyone liked or approved of my relationship or not. It simply is not. And now that I have equality under the law, it makes absolutely no difference to me if I went and got married to somebody that I love, civil marriage contract at City Hall. If every person in this room says to me, I disapprove of your marriage, I'd say, I respect your right to disapprove of my marriage. It is what it is. Now, I also believe that the Republican Party has changed. I don't believe that the majority of people anymore truly care that much about these social issues and that those social issues are at the forefront. To me, the MAGA movement really isn't about that at all. I think the MAGA movement is about American sovereignty, about putting the American people first. It's about jobs, it's about economy, and it's about making Americans thrive. I don't think that the modern Republican Party cares that much about those social issues anymore. I just don't. And I guess the last thing I would say on that issue is that if we're going to hold parties accountable for their past, let's be consistent and hold the Democratic Party accountable for the KKK, for their civil rights record, and for everything else. Because I don't mind saying that I do think that the Democratic Party was more favorable towards gay rights faster. Now, again, I do think the Republican Party has changed. I think a lot of people have come around on this. But I also think it's a little disingenuous that the Democratic Party started fighting for marriage equality and all these other, gay civil rights after public opinion had already passed the tipping point of 50%. We were well past 50% polling acceptance on marriage equality when Democrats started saying, I think that's a good idea. We're going to fight for marriage equality. We don't have gay rights in this country because of the Democrats. We have gay rights in this country because of hardworking activists who for decades were on the ground doing all of that work, and then the Democrats swept in and said, we're going to make it happen and take the credit for it. Now I want to give the microphone to Angela. She had something to say.
I wanted to talk about the point that you made about abortion, and I'll say this. The abortion issue is when I truly learned how to separate God from religion. I was in a church where the majority of the congregation voted for Hillary, and it made me question my faith, and I left the church. Because to me, I could not believe that people who said that they believe in God believed in killing babies and having innocent blood on their hands. So that was when I had to learn to separate God from religion, because religion will tell you one thing, but then you have to have a relationship to God to know the difference between the two. And so one of the biggest arguments when it comes to abortion is exactly what you said. It's my body. I should have the right to choose. But it's not your body, because your body does not have two heads, it does not have 4 arms, it does not have 4 legs, and you are not the one that is being killed in that instance. I look at my daughter, who today is 26 years old. She graduated from Howard Law. She's an attorney, and I got pregnant with her when I was 14. And my father wanted me to have an abortion, and my mother was totally against it. But when I look at her and I see her now, I realize that her life is not my life. My mother is dead, but I'm still alive and I still live. And it's the lies of the Democratic Party that have a lot of women choosing death over life. They have us convinced that killing our child is better than allowing that child to live. We focus on the very small 1% of instances where, what if this child is abused? What if this child has a bad life? There are plenty of children born that are put up for adoption that have wonderful lives. There are plenty of children that are born, even myself and probably some people in this room, that have had experiences in group homes and not being with their family, but look who we are today. I believe that God has a reason and a purpose for every life. And to go back to what Brandon said, no one in this room has ever been aborted. No one in this world has ever been aborted. So for all of us that have been given the right to life, which is something everyone has, how can we say that someone else does not deserve the same right that we were given? And I don't think that I'm probably the only only one that didn't thank Brandon for having me on the panel. So, and that's just stuff women do. You know how we do. I'm the only woman on the panel. But Brandon, thank you so much.
Okay. Sister, now, I just want to talk to you. I'm not worried about anybody else in here right now. As a person, as a man who went through the pain of my children being killed. Now, our country and our culture always want to discount the father.
Right.
Okay, and they say that fathers have no rights, but fathers are hit with child support all the time. They say that fathers are responsible for the love and the financial support and the protection of children, even if the father doesn't want the child. But the state will force a man who does not want that child to pay child support, or he goes to jail. So the flip side of this is, and I'm talking to you, sister, from a position of love, okay? The flip side of it is, it took two to make that baby. And one thing that I told my ex-girlfriend when she did that, because she said, I wanted to hurt you more than you've ever been hurt in your life. And she knew that I was homeless before. She also knew that when I was 11 years old in 1985 that I was raped by someone. And she said, I wanted to hurt you because my friends told me if I want to hurt you, I could kill your kids. Because as a father, like I said, of 9, my oldest child, Victor, in 2008, he was killed at work. He worked at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. Now imagine the pain I got to go through, because I fly all over the country all year long, and I have to go through that airport at the very place that my child lost his life. Ma'am, I'm a father, and I love all my children, the ones that are alive and the ones that are in heaven, but I wish I had the opportunity to be a father for my twins. So I know I can't force you to have a child, but I ask for compassion for fathers who give a damn about their kids. Give us an opportunity to be a father. Because I asked her, I said, look, if you didn't want the children, why didn't you just give them to me? I would have raised those babies with love, with compassion, and gave them leadership and encouraged them to change the world. She said, I just wanted to hurt you. So on that note, I want to say I love you, sister, regardless of how you feel, but I hope that me talking to you right now can at least give some options to people to think about the fathers too.
And I just wanted to say one more thing and then I'll get off. When we talk about pro-choice, right, what is the choice? The choice is I'm either going to let my child live or I'm going to take my child's life. So the only choice is life or death. It's only a woman's right to get away with murder. Because here's the instance. If I'm pregnant, right, and you and I, and this is hypothetically speaking because this is my brother, are in a relationship and we get into a domestic dispute and you hurt me and the baby dies, you're going to be charged with fetal homicide.
That's right. I go to jail.
So is it murder or is it not murder? Is it a baby or is it not a baby? And when we talk about life, right, because there is a lifespan, there's been the question is when does the life start? I had to deal with that because I thought, well, hey, maybe if it doesn't have a heartbeat, yada, yada, whatever. But then I had to think about the lifespan because first, we've all been through this same process. We're an embryo, then we're a fetus, then we're an infant, then we're a baby, then we're a toddler, then we're an adolescent, then we're an adult. It is the entire lifespan. So when you get the news that you're pregnant, what does that mean? That a life has been created. And if pregnancy creates the life, abortion ends the life, then that means that abortion is murder.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's just one quick thing I want to add to that too, and this very, very quickly. If we take the emotion out of this, if we take the moral judgment out of this and just ask ourselves a couple of factual questions, we can say there is one party that supports the ability to abort and there is one party that does not. Those are facts. And one party is supporting making it easier and more accessible, and the longer the duration of being able to perform an abortion. One party is doing that, and that party is being voted for at a rate of 90% by Black Americans. And I'm going to tell you something that I just learned for the first time when I was at CPAC, and it about made me faint when I heard it, but it's true. In New York City, more Black babies are aborted than born alive. Try to wrap your head around that, because I can't.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Anthony DeVolder. I recently founded a movement called United for Trump on Facebook. Our first rally was the rally last Saturday in Fifth Avenue, where Brandon and Barbara were in attendance. I'm one of the co-founders for that organization. As a gay man and having always been a Republican, I've always had a lot of controversy around that because I'm pro-life, I'm gay, I'm a Republican, and also my parents are immigrants. So a lot of people would say, wow, you like compiling minorities. God damn it. Yeah, it's a hobby. What I see personally with the issue at hand as far as abortion goes is we're too focused in creating a fast solution to a problem instead of educating people on how to not get pregnant. Right. How about not getting pregnant, and how about avoiding to having to abort kids? That's where I see the problem is. We're spending too much money indoctrinating people on how to kill a life instead of avoiding to create a life. I mean, condoms, and we can go on here, and there's so many options. I mean, I don't see the necessity for us to have this alarming rate of, abortion, not only here in New York, but we're talking, countrywide, globally, whatever the case is. I don't see, as you said, there is no choice. The choice is death, and that's not a choice, because to me, that's infanticide, not even abortion. And I can't stand here. And again, as I said, for being a gay registered Republican since I was 18, and that was 13 years ago, I've gotten a lot of heat for always voting red, and I don't regret it. And I am from Jackson Heights, Queens, and I know what goes on there as far as MS-13 and gangs, and it goes on and on. So I just wanted to thank Brandon for this movement. I mean, I'm not a WalkAway, but I sure love the message, and I can't wait to see this blow up in their faces in 2020. Woo!
He's a walk with.
Walk with. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Rabbi Menashe Bovid. I'm from Queens, in Belrose Jewish Center. Also, I had a tremendous pleasure meeting Brandon and his mother at our Queens Village Republican Club Lincoln dinner this past Sunday, and that was fantastic. He gave a tremendous presentation. It was very inspirational, and your mom's wonderful too, once again. You always got to listen to your mothers, everybody. That's very important. Barbara agrees with me 100%. So does Ronnie. So I'm part of a community, the Jewish community, that very much like the Black community and many other ethnic communities, has been hornswoggled and fooled and blinded by the Democrat Party for many, many years. And, it's interesting. I'm the son of a Holocaust survivor myself. And so I should have grown up really appreciating this country. And my father, I speak about this all the time. He used to tell me, and I grew up talking about being a walkaway. I was a radical in the anti-Vietnam War movement, and I went from there to the anti-nuclear movement and a bunch of other stuff. And my father used to look at me and he used to tell me he couldn't understand why I was doing what I was doing, because he would tell me how great America was and how much he appreciated America. America liberated him and gave him an opportunity to build a life in this country. And he would tell me you should get down and kiss the ground of this country every day and thank God. Thank God for being an American. Now, America's not perfect. You know why? Because there's people in America, and people aren't perfect. And every one of us, none of us are perfect. Sometimes, we in Judaism, we have a thing called Yom Kippur, right? Where we try to make good, because every one of us is kind of a jerk sometimes. That's the fact, right? Me at the top of the list. And so, America has not been perfect. There's been prejudice, there's been different kind of bigotry that people have experienced in this country, but that's just, America is unique in being a country that has been able to look at its own blemishes and recognize those blemishes and say, we have to fix this. We had a civil war in this country. Hundreds of thousands of people died liberating slaves. My father actually, and it resonates with me because my father being a Holocaust survivor, my father was actually a slave. He was used for slave labor. And American soldiers, including black soldiers, liberated him from his slavery. Wow. And so once again, my father was right. Got to thank God every day. And as I matured, and I realized at one point, talk about a walkaway moment, I was involved in a lot of left-wing activities, and it was in the 80s, and there was the assassination attempt against Ronald Reagan. And I was volunteering at a food co-op called the Food Conspiracy Food Co-op. Talk about left-wing stuff, right? And I come out of the back where we were packaging cheese, and these people are laughing, and I go, what's so funny? And they say, oh, didn't you hear someone tried to shoot Ronnie Reagan? And I thought, the little light bulb came on over my head, and I said, you think that's funny? It's the President of the United States. You think that's funny? And that started my walk away. It took me a long time. So a lot of you young people, I really salute you that you've been able to move a lot quicker than it took me. My question, though, is I'm talking about myself here. I really feel very honored to be here at this event, because those of us who are part of communities that have been fooled, the Jewish community mostly votes Democrat, right? And I speak in my congregation openly, and I've gotten in trouble. I've been kicked out of congregations for saying the truth. I've been chased out. My congregation's starting to change their mind a little bit now. They're starting to see the dark, evil side of the Democrat Party really being revealed. And talk about the abortion issue. I always say to them, every one of these, they have a lot of older ladies in the congregation, and they get so giggly showing pictures of their grandchildren. And I say to them, you've been waiting the whole time while your daughter or your granddaughter sometimes was pregnant, waiting for the baby, and you're talking about the pregnancy every step of the way, and then the baby's born, and you're so excited, and now how could you be so-called pro-choice? How could you be so, you're so excited about a baby being born? It's a baby being murdered. And minds are starting to be changed here. Remember, our rabbis teach us that there's three partners in creating a baby. It's mom and dad, but also God Almighty. We can't ever forget that. It's God Almighty. But I have a question for this panel here. I'm a rabbi, so I like to talk. Excuse me. She's giving me a little kick here, reminding me to hurry up. So on the panel here, talk about some of the things that you're doing that try to wrest leadership of your community away from the frauds, the charlatans who have been pulling people in the wrong direction. That's what's going on in the Jewish community. I know in the black community, there's the people that are recognized by the media as being leaders are leading people in the wrong direction. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how to wrest leadership in your communities away from these individuals.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good question. Me personally, what I'm doing is I founded a group here in New York called the CRA, the Conservative Republican Alliance. The reason why, thank you. The reason why I started that group is because when I did my WalkAway video, started my YouTube channel, and even the videos right after that, I was getting comments over and over. Guys from Bronx, Harlem, Queens, Staten Island. I don't want to forget a borough, so let me, but all the boroughs are reaching out to me. The Bronx, they were saying, Chris, man, I thought I was the only conservative out here, man. What, you're a black conservative, man? I can't believe it. That's crazy. And so it kept happening so much that I didn't know what to do. I was just honestly, like my videos I call them walking talks. I was walking through the city talking politics. And I didn't expect people to return back and say, well, can we be a part of what you're doing? And I'm like, what am I doing? So I said, you know what? So I came to the conclusion, let me start a group where I can say, look, we can meet up, we can get together, we can discuss politics in the way that we want to discuss them and not have to worry about ducking our heads every time we say the T word too loud, from somebody getting too upset, So I started that group, and what we're doing, we do charity work. We go around the city. We're going to start going to churches very soon. When the weather gets nice, start doing charity work. We do social events. There's times where I just do speeches, and people come out to the speeches from the group, and I just want to show young young minorities, young conservatives in general, but there's a lot of minorities in New York City, to be real here. So, I want to show them you have a voice, you have a place you can go. It's okay to be a minority and be conservative. You're not going to lose your black card or your Hispanic card if you choose so. And that is the main reason, that's the main thing I'm doing personally to help out my community.
I'm gonna be real fast. There's two types of people in this world. People that are willing to listen and people that are not. You have to first recognize who's willing to sit down and have dialogue with you. If they're not willing to have dialogue with you, walk away. Boom.
I am a 100% disabled veteran, and
Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. My question is, since I'm cooperating, I grew up, born and raised in Chicago, Democrat all my life, didn't know no better. Got 3 brothers that died of AIDS because of drugs. I was just there a couple of weeks ago. I'm behind a police officer, known drug area. He know what they doing. Hey, move away. That's all he said. He pulled off. They come back 15 minutes later doing the same thing. So as far as the Republican Party, as far as doing something about these drugs, it's just a vicious cycle. My brothers died. I carried them to the grave. I was homeless when I lived in Savannah, Georgia. Veteran, they treated us bad. It wasn't until I moved to Ohio, a Republican state, that I finally got my disability. That I 12 years walking with back pain.
Wow.
2 operations, 3 hernia surgeries, got another one sticking out my belly now, high blood pressure, all of this I'm going through, homeless, sleeping on the ground, in the parks. And when I moved there, and I ain't like Trump at first because I was ignorant like a lot of us was, but he kind of grew on me, and I ain't never known me to be scared of nobody. And we got that in common. Trump say what the heck he want to say. And I've always been that way. So, I got your card. I'll shoot you, thankfully I got my disability. I don't have to work anymore. So, maybe I can help out, but I appreciate the opportunity. I just came here kind of skeptic, check it out, But, I enjoyed myself, so, just wanted to say that I got a long way back home, get through all this traffic. This is crazy here, man. But I think the first time I was in New York, I came through Harlem. I may have been 8. That was 40 years ago. So this is my second time. Like I said, I enjoyed myself, but I'll shoot you an email, the organization, what have you. But, as far as doing something about the drugs, it's real bad. I still got family there, and 3 of them dead, but I still got relatives that's on it. So is there any platform or anything about that in the future?
Well, I know one thing that Donald Trump has done is declared a war on the opioid crisis. He's trying to do something about it. And I think that while we can appreciate that, Melania as well, they're doing a lot to try to highlight what's taking place, going after the doctors, going after the scripts, the doctors that are writing false scripts for money. They're doing what they can at their level. And then we have to do what we can at our level as well. It goes back to me, it goes back to a sense of hopelessness that people have. And that's something that has to come from community. We have to be able to embody hope in our brothers and sisters. And I think that will also come from the opportunities that are now presenting themselves with jobs and everything else. So there's a lot that's, I believe, is taking place right now. What was your name again, sir? What's your name real quick? Sean, thank you for your service. And I actually had some questions. Yeah, give this man a round of applause, please. Thank you so much. Any other veterans in here? Any other veterans? Please stand up. Please stand up. Thank you, veterans, for your service. God bless you. Thank you. We're so honored to have you here with us tonight. May God bless you and your families. And along that same track, I just had a couple of questions, I think, to kind of and I'm not sure how much time we have, how many people in here learned something from tonight, from the movie or from our messages? How many people in here, it maybe changed or tilted even just a little bit the direction in which you might vote or think about Donald Trump in the future? Hey, you know what? It happens one person at a time. Whether it's one or two or three hands I saw, I know I saw at least a few, but let me just put this in perspective. One man right here started something that swept the entire country, that brought us this movie tonight, that's gotten the attention of the president. One person that woke up, made a difference, and continues to make a difference. One person can have an impact. So that's where it starts, and I'm excited for those of you that are in here that did have that impact and change tonight. It's a huge victory.
Thanks, David. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for coming to the first ever WalkAway Town Hall. Give yourselves a round of applause. This is amazing. Thank you. Thank you.